All right, there's a new book out. It was released yesterday, and you might want to consider. It's called Rage in the Republic, The Unfinished Story of the American Revolution. The first part of the book is the difficulty of getting American society and the American government running in a way that benefited all Americans. Thomas Paine, very crusty guy. Everybody hated him, except me, I liked him. And Jonathan Turley, the author, goes all through that. So if you like history and you read my books, you'll like this. Then the book takes a turn into, well, are we going to be able to keep what we have here? Our republic, we're going to keep it because we got now a surge in AI, we got new techs, we got a corrupt media, we got academia that's falling apart. Can we keep it? So joining us now is the aforementioned Jonathan Turley. He's a law professor at George Washington University. You see him on TV all the time, read his columns. All right, so I want to stay in the present day because you are right in the fire zone. So you teach at a very liberal university, George Washington. Some of your columns and commentary are, I wouldn't say conservative right wing, but they're not liberal. And you do go after some people on the left. What has happened to you because of that?
Well, I'm one of the few libertarians, conservatives, contrarians left in academia. Recent surveys have shown that many departments don't have a single conservative or Republican or libertarian. Yale reached sort of nirvana stage not long ago, where they found that not a single faculty member at Yale contributed to the Republican Party. So there's been this purging that has gone on since I first went into teaching over 30 years ago. And I talk about this in Rage in the Republic, because the second half of the book, as you note, Bill, is looking at whether this republic can survive in what we're facing. Now, part of that is what I call the rise of the new Jacobins. And the Jacobins were, of course, those people who brought about the French Revolution, because the book looks at both the American and French revolutions and the personalities involved, and asks, why did one, the American Revolution, become the most successful, oldest democracy in history, and why did the other become the reign of terror, and what we could learn from that? And the Jacobins began as professors, journalists, lawyers, who talked about due process and the rights of man. And then they became architects of the terror. And what the book suggests is we're hearing those voices again, these new Jacobins. You have the dean of Berkeley Law School saying that the U.S. Constitution is a failure. This is on our 250th anniversary. You have the New York Times regularly publishing law professors saying we have to break the system down, pack or get rid of the Supreme Court, make these radical changes. And what the book raises is that these are people who are trying to remove the very elements that got us here today, the very elements that saved us historically from the demise that we saw in things like the French Revolution.
And in modern times, in the fascist states all around the world. But why? Why would intelligent people, number one, veer so far left? Do they fear robust debate? Do they fear allowing the American people to make their own decisions?
Well, there is this echo chamber environment that benefits many of these, particularly law professors, also journalists. They write for each other. If you eliminate anyone who's a dissenting voice, it helps you. You get more invitations to conferences, more publications, more control. The last thing you want is someone who's going to say you're wrong. And I never thought we would be in this position, quite frankly. As I said, I went into teaching 30 years ago. But more importantly, as I talk about in the book, when I went to University of Chicago, it was an awakening for me. There were people, I grew up in a liberal, democratic, politically active family. I knew there were young Republicans. I just never met one. And I went to University of Chicago, and in the basement, the Trotskyites would meet. And upstairs we had militant vegans, and next door we had these bizarre libertarians. It was like walking into the Star Wars bar scene. And for me, it was absolutely just thrilling. I loved every minute of it. I was fascinated to see people that saw what I saw and saw something completely different. My students simply don't have that anymore. Most law schools, for example, don't even have a Republican or conservative. If they do, they just have a couple. Now, keep in mind, this country is a majority conservative or libertarian. And I had a debate at Harvard with one of their professors, and I raised with him, and I like him a great deal, but I raised with him this issue that the faculty at Harvard has only a handful of conservatives or Republicans, and the student body is less than 9% in a country that's divided equally, and where the majority of judges are conservative. And he immediately said, well, we're Harvard, we're an elite university, we don't have to look like America. And I said, but Randall, you don't even look like Massachusetts. I mean, Massachusetts is over 30%.
But see,
Republican.
that's the key to changing traditional American society, the classroom. So if you get the urchins at age 13, and by the time they get out of college, they're 22, and all they hear is America's bad, stolen land. That amused me greatly at the stupid music awards. If all they hear is that, then you're indoctrinating a whole new generation of Americans to move to the radical left. So I think this is a very well thought out plan.
No, it is. And in fact, Rage of the Republic goes into that because I talk about Mondami, I talk about all these socialists. The polls show that socialism and even communism are being embraced by really record numbers of young people. And as I talk about in the book, these are people with no memory or experience with the socialist governments that collapsed in the 20th century. So all they know are these sound bites, like Mondami saying, I'm going to introduce you to the warmth of collectivism.
Right.
It's very much like, as I talk in the book, when Mitterrand was elected president of France, he actually appointed a minister of leisure because he was promising the French they'd have so much time paid by the government that he was going to have someone manage to make sure they could get all the leisure they want.
I know.
And of course, the economy collapsed. But these kids never saw that.
Well, I mean, the warmth of collectivism is tough because Mondami can't even plow the snow off the streets of New York City. So that's collapsing pretty fast. But I think that you're correct in saying that when you have a monolithic left-wing educational system, and you do in this country, that's going to change the voting patterns. It has to. Now, the second thing is the corporate media has bought into that. They like that. You often appear on a Fox News channel. George Washington University can't be happy about that, are they?
No, I've been shunned for years, but I've been shunned since I testified in the Clinton impeachment. If you can't be fired, because I'm a chair tenured professor, so instead you're largely shunned.
What does that mean, shunned? How does that?
The thing is, this is a group that'll try to take away everything that has meaning to an intellectual. Publication of papers, joining conferences, those type of things go. If you really sort of violate this orthodoxy.
Have you ever had words with these people or trying to sabotage your career?
No, because I don't have words with many academics because I am persona non grata.
They don't even talk to you, and
there are very few of us left in academia, and it's amazing because half of the students are coming in this country are coming from conservative or libertarian families, and they get to law schools, and there's virtually no one that can share that view.
Right,
but. One of the things that worries me most, and I go into this in Rage in the Republic, is that we're going to be facing challenges that we have never encountered before. I talk about robotics and AI, but also global governance systems like the EU. But even as the book goes into, even taking the most conservative estimates, this book is a roaring endorsement of capitalism. I believe in capitalism. Milton Friedman ruined me at the University of Chicago. I do believe that capitalism will adjust. But we are looking at a massive job loss that we've never encountered before. And that means we're going to have a lot of people that may be on a subsidy of the government. And the book looks at how that would change us politically, not just economically.
Sure.
What if we have a kept citizenry that is being subsidized by the government?
Well, that's what happened in the early 1930s. So
Right,
you
so
had the Hoover people come in, very conservative people, capitalists to the top of their forehead, and they booted the recovery of the Great Depression, and then FDR came in, and the whole electorate changed over. But I'm very interested in your personal story because you do write in a personal way in this book. So you get it on the Fox News channel. Now there's pressure there to toe that conservative line. Do you feel that?
I haven't. I've worked twice as legal analyst for NBC, twice legal analyst for CBS, also with BBC. So I've worked for 4 networks, and I have good memories of all 4 networks. I've never felt pressure at Fox.
Good. I'm glad to hear that because I never did when I was there. They never ever interfere with what I did. But when you're on there, do you understand the vilification? Because that was crazy from my experience. I got attacked every hour on the hour. I never understood it. So why do you care what I say when you got 5 other news outlets that are saying what you want to hear? Why is one outlier, me or you, if you say something the left doesn't like, why does it bother these people? I never got that.
I think that, and I go into this in the book as well, that part of the problem with this orthodoxy, both in the media and in academia, is that it makes you increasingly intolerant to hear opposing views because all you hear in your echo chamber, if you just go from MS Now to CNN, or if you don't leave that silo, you become more and more intolerant, which is what we're seeing. And also, social media has changed us a lot. I've had a lot of death threats. My family's been threatened. That was the uptick was when I testified in the second impeachment involving Donald Trump, and I received hundreds of threatening emails.
What did you tell the people? Just so if people don't remember, what did you say? Your crux of your remarks were what about Trump impeachment?
Well, I testified at the hearing, and I was the only Republican witness, and I opposed the impeachment.
Okay.
Which I think was an abuse, and I also think the second impeachment was an abuse. But it having been with one foot in on the media side for 30 years, it has changed in that social media has unleashed a lot of that rage.
Yeah.
And this book talks about rage. All countries, well, not all countries, but many countries are the product of revolution. And revolutions are caused by rage. And our revolution was caused by rage. That's what the Boston Tea Party was rage. The problem is it's easier to start a revolution than to end it. And the reason we succeeded is we had 2 absolute genius figures, and among many. But Thomas Paine was sort of the righteous rage of the revolution. But it was James Madison who was the pious logic. So Paine knew what it would take to move a people to rebellion. And it was Madison that knew what it would take to move a revolution to a republic. And it was the combination of those 2 characters.
Yeah, and they were totally opposite, those guys.
There could not be more different.
Could not. All right, Professor, it's a fascinating book, Rage and the Republic, out now. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on, and we'll talk again soon, I hope. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on X. Look for @Bill O'Reilly. Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News, Monday, August 7th, 2023. Stand up for your country. Well, I hope you read my column that I filed yesterday on BillO'Reilly.com about the collapse of the media in America and its ramifications for voters, those who participate in our democracy. Now, the press has always wanted to be a kingmaker, going all the way back to John Adams versus Thomas Jefferson. And for a while there, the press, the media did forge presidents into office, JFK being the best example of that. But today it's a totally different story as the press is disintegrating. And the best example of this is Donald Trump, and that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. So, once again, Trump is dominating American politics, this time in the criminal justice system. He has been charged with 77 felony counts. Did you know that? 77. I had to add them up this morning. All right. That's in the January 6th case, in the classified documents case, and the New York City situation with far left guy, DA Alvin Bragg. Next up is Georgia, and he's going to be charged with felony interference in the election there, the presidential election. So this is way out of control. I mean, you don't file 77 felony charges, you just file it down. Okay? I mean, but this is all to demonstrate what a rogue and how out of control Donald Trump allegedly was. Okay? So what's interesting about this is all generated by Democrats. Every single charge. Merrick Garland's the Attorney General. He appoints a special prosecutor, Jack Smith. Smith is a Democrat. Bragg is a Democrat. The Fulton County DA in Georgia is a Democrat. It's all the other party doing this. No independent investigations at all. Very important. Because in the long run, it's going to go to the Supreme Court. None of these investigations were independent. None of them. The fix was in. That is not to say that Donald Trump is not guilty. Clearly, he should have returned the documents he kept at Mar-a-Lago to the National Archives when they requested that. Should have done it that day. Clearly. On January 6th, the important thing here is there's no mention of him promoting insurrection. Remember, that was the second impeachment. No mention of it in Smith's indictments. So he didn't promote insurrection or anything to do with the Capitol attack, according to the special prosecutor. What he allegedly did do was foment unrest in this country because he said the election was a fraud. And Smith says he can prove that Trump knew what he was saying was false. I don't believe he can prove that because I talk to Trump all the time. He has never wavered in one of my conversations with him. He believes the election was rigged because that's what he wants to believe. He comes back to that once again. Read my message of the day. Biden's doing the same thing on the Hunter front. Same exact thing. Okay. Now, moving forward, all of this stuff is going to evolve in one way or another. And federal courts are going to be involved. The first thing is moving the venue on January 6th out of Washington, D.C., where Trump can't possibly get a fair trial. The judge is a Democrat who has made anti-Trump statements. You can't. Now, the Trump lawyers are going to file for a change of venue. If that's turned down, then it goes to the appellate federal division and on and on and on up to the Supreme Court if they hear it. And the same thing's going to happen in Mar-a-Lago, although that's a much clearer cut case than the January 6th thing. Now, Trump himself should be letting his lawyers litigate this, but he isn't because he can't constrain himself. Roll the tape.
The prosecutor in the case, I will call it our case, is a thug. I've named him Deranged Jack Smith. His record is absolutely atrocious. He does political hit jobs. He's a raging and uncontrolled Trump hater, as is his wife.
Now, why is the former president doing that? All his supporters already know that or believe that. All right, the press is just going to paint him as an out of control renegade nut. And the rest of America, if you don't know the two sides and the battle lines by now, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. So I don't know why Donald Trump is doing that. Let surrogates do that. Doesn't do you any good. A lot of that tape's going to be played in the courtroom in front of the jury. And remember, the jury are all going to have to be morons. They're all going to have to be people who have no blanket idea what's happening in this country with Trump or anybody else. Okay, now, one more thing in the memo. As I wrote yesterday, and again, I really hope you read the column, it's called FYI on BillO'Reilly.com. The press has lost credibility, it's lost power, it's lost readers, it's lost viewers. I give you the stats. There's no doubt about it. There's no two sides to the story. Which is why you're watching and listening to me, a totally independent news agency, because you can't trust the corporate news agencies. They will not tell you the truth. An example, CNN on Friday, 3 days ago, ran this clip. Go.
So he had said something to the effect of, I don't want people to know we lost, Mark. This is embarrassing. Figure it out. We need to figure it out. I don't want people to know that we lost.
Okay, that woman is Cassidy Hutchinson, who has already been discredited. She hates Donald Trump. She worked in the White House for a short time. She's the one who said Trump was sitting in the back of the presidential limo and lunged at a Secret Service guy who was driving the car, which is physically impossible to do. That's who that was. Yet CNN knows she's a Trump hater. This is hearsay. That tape was leaked by a Democrat on one of the House committees to CNN, yet they ran it anyway. Okay, come on, you know. So let's just recap here. The whole country's in turmoil. America's in turmoil. We've been laughed at by our enemies in Russia and China and Iran. We may have a presidential election featuring two guys under indictment. I mean, I don't think Joe Biden's going to make it, but Trump isn't going to resign. He'll be there. And he will very well win the Republican primary. And that's the memo. Now, this week, in fact, I think it's tomorrow, August 8th, Richard Nixon resigned the presidency. Go.
I have never been a quitter. To leave office before my term is completed is abhorrent to every instinct in my body. But as president, I must put the interests of America first.
So he had to leave, Nixon, because he was going to be impeached and convicted, all right, in the Watergate mess. He was going to be impeached and convicted there. He knew it. And that if he didn't leave, he would have been charged with crimes, because the tapes in the White House clearly demonstrated that Nixon was part of the cover-up of the Watergate affair. And if you don't know what the Watergate affair is, I'm not going to waste everybody's time going back on it, but it was a crime. It was a campaign crime. Okay. And he didn't order it, but when he found out about it, he tried to cover it up and get money for the guys who were arrested and on and on. So Nixon knew he was toast. He also knew that Gerald Ford was going to be vice president because Agnew, his original vice president, he had to leave because he was convicted of bribery, Agnew. So he was booted, and then Gerald Ford became vice president. Ford was the Speaker of the House. Okay, and so that's the stair step. But Nixon knew Ford was going to pardon him before any criminal charges could be brought, and it's exactly what happened. Bill O'Reilly here for Lone Star Transfer. If booking your timeshare has been difficult in the past, you know it's been almost impossible lately. Most clients are shocked to learn that their timeshare is now available to the public, severely limiting booking options. Many owners are upset their yearly dues have nearly doubled. during this maintenance fee season. For well over a decade, this family-owned company has had the pleasure of helping more than 18,000 owners legally and permanently get out of their timeshare fees. With an A-plus rating at the Better Business Bureau and more than 900 five-star testimonials, Lone Star Transfer is a company you can trust. Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. So please call my friends today for a free, no-obligation consultation at 855-551-7066, 855-551-7066, or online at lonestartransfer.com. Okay, let's get to the mail. Zeke, concierge member, please check that out. We've had a surge in concierge members on BillO'Reilly.com. It is an insurance policy for your life. We have power here. We can help you. Think about it. Doesn't cost much. Get free books and discounts. Why everybody doesn't do this? I wish I had this opportunity. All right, Zeke says, it's obvious the goal of all these hearings about the Biden family's impeachment. My question, if the findings occurred while Joe Biden was vice president, what's the justification for impeachment? Because he lied about it as president. Simple as that. And if he ever took bribes, that's not established, but if he ever did, it doesn't matter whether he was vice president or a private citizen. Bill Forrest, Woodbridge, Virginia. Politicians lying is now a criminal offense. As the left says, they're going to have to get more paddy wagons rolling out of Washington, D.C. Paddy wagon is a slur, but I don't mind. Paddy wagon came out of New York because on the weekend, so many Irish were drunk in the streets. This is at the turn of the 20th century, that they had to load them into wagons and take them to jail so they could sleep it off. The wagons were named Paddy. Paddy wagons. You say that now, the woke people wouldn't care about Irish stuff. Nah, they don't care. George Luna, Berkeley Heights, New Jersey. On multiple occasions, you've suggested that Michelle Obama would be a viable presidential candidate. Why? She has no political experience. It's not about that. Donald Trump had no political experience. About popularity, George. Lowell Lee, Schweizwig, Iowa. It's time to get folks off the Trump bandwagon. He's obviously dishonest and a very divisive person. We do not need him to be our next presidential candidate. Well, Lowell, I mean, our is a primary. Republican voters want him, they'll get him. But I respect your point of view. I'm not challenging a point of view, but it's a lot more than you. Susan Clemens Calione, Gwinnett County, Georgia. Button Gwinnett signed the Declaration of Independence. That's Gwinnett County. Assuming, as you said, O'Reilly, SCOTUS will be involved with President Trump's case, does the progressive left have enough time to pack the court? They're not going to pack the court. All right, the Supreme Court has already signaled that they're not letting Congress dictate who's sitting on that bench. That's not happening. Rodney Mabe, Carthage, North Carolina. Bill, I know it's been news, the only one that brings up the Mark Zuckerberg donation of $480 million to the 2020 election. I don't understand why other news agencies have not reported that, because Biden won and that money was used to help Biden. It's $400 million, not $480. But the left news agencies, they wanted Biden to win, and if Zuckerberg could help them, they're not going to report it. Why they do that? That would be honest. Layla White, Abingdon, Virginia. Mr. O'Reilly, I have a beauty salon. I'm a Christian conservative lady. I used to be afraid to talk about my political beliefs, but now the country's going in such a bad direction, I feel it's my patriotic duty. Layla, I don't know. People come in to get their hair and they come in for if they start the discussion, then okay, but I'm not sure you want to evangelize in your beauty salon. I would not. John, concierge member, is a former broadcaster from the time when objectivity, honesty, and integrity were in play. I believe the news media is down to a lone voice in the wilderness, Bill O'Reilly. Well, I appreciate that, John. Let me know, you're a concierge member, let me know where you worked, okay? I won't tell anybody or anything like that. I'm just curious, all right? Thank you for the kind words. All right, Killing the Witches, coming up fast, September 26th. I have signed about more than 1,000 of them, hand-signed books. They're going fast, so if you want them, you got to pre-order them now. If you pre-order Killing the Witches, just a regular copy, you'll get it first. You can do it at BillO'Reilly.com, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, you know the drill. And then we have the summer reading program, rapidly the summer, but you can read these, you know, up till Christmas, right? So Killing Crazy Horse, Killing the Killers, Killing the Legends, all bundled with a Team Normal hat. $32.95, best deal in the country right now. And don't forget that we're doing a live show on Friday, October 27th, Paramount Theater, Huntington, Long Island. It's a beautiful time to come to Long Island. The leaves are changing on the North Shore where Huntington is. This is sponsored by WABC. Sid Rosenberg will be with me. He's the morning man, dominating New York City radio at this point. And you will never forget this show. So we hope to see you all there. Go to Ticketmaster, BillO'Reilly.com, or whatever you want. So, and it's selling very fast. Word of the day, not be a puzzle wit. Puzzlewit. Puzzle wit. Back with a final thought in a moment. Hey, it's time to take care of your liver. Data from the American Heart Association indicates that adults with fatty liver were 3.5 times more likely to have heart failure than those without. The American Liver Foundation says that 100 million Americans have fatty livers. These days, we throw everything at our bodies: cholesterol, alcohol, toxins, statins, cigarettes. No wonder so many of us have a sluggish, fatty liver. Your liver helps your body with hundreds of daily functions. It's time you help your liver with Liver Health Formula. Liver Health Formula is an all-natural, American-made supplement that contains 12 clinically proven botanicals to recharge and protect your liver. So try Liver Health Formula and receive a free bottle of nano-powered omega-3 to keep your heart healthy. Go to getliverhelp.com/Bill, claim your free gift. That's getliverhelp.com/Bill. Okay, so I told you, as a final thought of the day, the ocean out here in eastern Long Island where I am, very turbulent this summer, okay? Not a place to fool around. In fact, you can't even body surf because the waves crash so hard down, you break your back, all right? And then nobody's body surfing. So, and the current is tough, the undertow is tough. That does not inhibit me from dunking in the water because that's what I do. I'm an ocean guy, but I'm not riding the waves and I'm being cautious. So a couple of weeks ago, I got whacked by a wave and I'm like, boom, and that was that. So yesterday I go in and it's turbulent, but I'm very cognizant of Ernest Hemingway's book, The Old Man and the Sea, which is a brilliant book, and it's not long, okay? And since I've always loved the sea, loved the ocean, that was one of my earliest reads. So I'm not the old man in the sea, I'm the aging man. All right, so I'm doing great. I'm bopping up and down. The water temperature is about 74. Really nice, okay? But then I have to get out. So I calculate that I can jog out of there before the next big wave comes. No. I get maybe 5 yards from the shoreline and bam, the thing knocks me down. And I had reef shoes on, and one of my reef shoes goes flying. And then I try to spring up, but my spring is not as it was when I was a lifeguard. It takes me a little longer. And bam, I get whacked again. So now I'm like this. So a guy runs out, on the beach, goes, hey, and I said, look, I got it. It's so embarrassing. Big macho man, right? And he goes, I got it, I'm fine. So I get up and I walk out. And he goes, oh, it happens to all of us. I go, Yeah, I guess so. Probably one of these. Anyway, the reason I'm telling you all this is if you're in the ocean and it's rough, please be careful. All right, even a seasoned guy like me who's been all over the world in the ocean, I thought I could beat that wave out. No. It was a pretty interesting experience. Thank you for watching and listening to the No Spin News. We'll have Geraldo on the media tomorrow, and we hope to see you then. Thank you for watching the No Spin News. To watch the full episode anytime on BillO'Reilly.com, please sign up to become a premium or concierge member. Visit BillO'Reilly.com to sign up and start watching today. Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News, Thursday, December 1st, 2022. Stand up for your country. Got a number of important stories to tell you about. The Twitter situation is becoming a major news story in this country, and people don't really understand it. So that's why I'm here to explain what's going on. But first, I just want to set it up by saying I think most Americans are now addicted to their smartphones and laptops and cyberspace in general. And yes, it's observational. I don't have data to back it up, but I don't think a lot of people are going to say, yeah, I'm a phone addict, but they are. And you see it everywhere, and I'm sure you do too. And you may be an addict. I mean, you always have the phone, it's there, you're checking it all the time. And what is that power? Number one, I'll tell you that the people invented, the Apple people who conceived of this, they knew that this was going to be an addictive product. They knew because it overwhelms people. It used to be, you pick up the phone, you call your friend, your family, spend 5-10 minutes, that's it for a week. Now, boom, 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 every 2 seconds. Drives me nuts, but I have to use it for work. No choice. Every time I turn around is another text or email that has to engage my attention. And I just don't have the time. And I flip this off to a lot of my assistants and things like that, but it's just non-ending, never ending. And then the games, and there's the betting, the sports, and it just goes on and on. So Americans are now living in this world, this cyber world, much more so than they're living in the real world. So if you walk down the street, instead of looking at nature or figuring out what's going on and wherever you are happen to be, no, they got this. People walking the dog, I gotta walk the terror dog a few times a day. All the other dog walkers like this. The dog. Now, the terror dog does not like, so I don't bring the phone out. But you know what I'm saying. Now, I think this has hurt the United States. I can't speak for other countries, but I'm assuming it's hurt them as well. Because we have a distracted population. We have a population that's being fed stuff. They believe a lot of it. Every day I get letters. Oh, what about this? What about that? Crazy letters, insane stuff. And they get it from the net. Okay, because they can put out anything they want. Enter Twitter. Is Elon Musk the savior? That is the subject of tonight's Talking Points memo. Okay, so Musk buys Twitter. And Twitter was an operation that leaned dramatically left. No doubt about it. That's what it did. And if you put stuff on Twitter that the leftists didn't like, you were banned or it got taken off, it got censored. Best example is the New York Post breaking the Hunter Biden story, the laptop, and Twitter just annihilated it. And then you have the COVID stuff. There was dissent about COVID and certain things happened that shouldn't have happened in the vaccine area. Twitter knocked it all out. So you can't have that when the population is dependent on the machines for information. No longer television and radio. Unfortunately, the primary driver of information. It is the internet. That's where it is. So if you have a powerful company that literally billions of people the world over use, and that company is run by leftists who are censoring any counter information or opinion, got a problem. Big problem. Now, Congress should have gotten involved with this earlier, but it didn't. So as soon as Musk took over on October 27th of this year, he fired 50% of the staff. Two reasons. One, ideological, and two, there are a lot of layabouts, people not doing anything, making decent salaries. I know people in Silicon Valley, it's a pretty soft life. It's a pretty soft life out there. So Musk came in, had his accountants look and said, look, these people aren't doing anything, we're paying them a fortune. They all went. The second thing was that when he took over, Musk said that Twitter is going to be fair and a champion of free speech. We'll see. Because a champion of free speech doesn't mean everything goes on. So there's so much defamation now, so much horror in lying and deceiving and manipulating. You got to have people there who know. I don't know if Elon Musk has those people working for Twitter. You got to have a truth squad. Very hard to do. I mean, I check everything out before I mention it to you. And then we source it, and then we tell you if we don't know, we say we don't know. Okay, or it's bogus or it's true. So anyway, just being an operation that allows anybody to say anything, that's not what's necessary here. So we hope that Elon Musk hires very fair and competent fact checkers. Now, on an opinion, as long as your opinion isn't defamatory, as long as it's not designed to hurt people, then I don't care. But if there's in the opinion an erroneous fact, you're basing your opinion on something that's not true, then Twitter's got to deal with that. Okay, third, as you know, Musk reinstated President Trump and others who were knocked off of Twitter by the leftists. 4, he wants controversial speech. Okay, that's fine. I do controversial speech. It's what I do. All right? But it's got to be responsible. And I'll give you a good example of the White House. It's incredible. Lying to the American people. This is just a lie. And nobody cares. Nobody cares. I care. Now, the left, generally speaking, opposes Elon Musk's takeover. Roll the tape.
The problem is that Elon Musk now is encouraging his users to cross the line, essentially, to become more hostile and potentially harass people more, so long as it doesn't break the law. And by encouraging people to cross the line wherever it is, this platform is necessarily going to become a more hostile place to hang out.
Well, I don't know if it can get any more hostile than it was before Musk took over. It was pretty damn hostile. Okay, I mean, I know. And these software companies, they're all leftists. And if they see somebody who's powerful, like me, they're going to try to take him down, or her. That's what they do. So that's just a bunch of bull. And there's a bunch of Congress people, including Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren's great. Gotta love her, right? She says, the deal is dangerous for our democracy, of course. We need a wealth tax and strong rules to hold back big tech accountable. Yeah, the strong rules would be, for Elizabeth Warren, you say what we say. Okay, Elizabeth Warren's a socialist. That's why she wants a wealth tax, which would never end, by the way. And so, yeah, she doesn't like it. The left doesn't like it. Toni Braxton, I like her. She's appalled. She says that hate speech under the veil of free speech is unacceptable. Okay. Has Musk's Twitter engaged in hate speech? I haven't seen it. If you've seen it, send it along. But Braxton, I guess, is a big liberal. I don't even know. I just think she's a good singer. So after Musk took over, the usual suspects came out and pulled their ads. Full screen, please. United Airlines, General Mills, Ford, General Motors, Pfizer, Audi, Volkswagen, the makers of Oreos, Chipotle. So why would you pull your ads if you don't even know what Musk is going to do? Because these are all leftist companies. It's amazing how many of them there are. Chipotle was really interesting. Chipotle said it pulled back its advertising on Twitter to gain a better understanding on the direction of the platform under its new leadership. Well, why do you have to pull it? Why can't you just monitor it? And if you don't like it, then pull it. Virtue signaling all day long. You know, I got into this a little bit years ago. I was unaware of how many corporations are run by far left people. I was absolutely unaware of it. And they're in that zone where if they buy an ad on Fox News Channel or Newsmax or whatever, they're criticized. But CNN and MSNBC or the networks, they're fine. There's really something wrong with that. And Disney, we saw karma really kick in that company damage themselves almost beyond belief. And that's a memo. Inflation at its highest level in 40 years. Interest rates skyrocketing. We all know that. Market experts like Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, not only predict a recession, but are using scary terms like economic hurricane and unprecedented. So, you need to call the only precious metal dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. They will show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. Please call them today, and they will have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your IRA or 401k. They have thousands of satisfied customers. They're the highest rated firm in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they'll give you up to $2,500 of free silver on your first order. Please call 866-501-5201, 866-501-5201, or text BILL to 65532. Again, 866-501-5201, or text BILL to 65532. Okay, President Biden and President Emmanuel Macron of France spent the whole day together. All right, and they got a big dinner tonight. I wonder if they're having frog's legs. You know, something about that frog's legs thing. I can go for escargot. I'm sure they'll have that. Frog's legs, though, I like frogs. Makes me a little nervous. But anyway, Macron is an important ally, and he's not a far left crazy guy. So okay, I'm fine with giving him the whole day, and that's what Biden did. Now here's the big lie coming out of the White House. This is just stunning. And I hope you understand the importance of the concept that the press secretary to President Biden has no trouble lying at all. Go.
We know the president's never been down to the border. The possible next speaker says that he wants him to go with him, so is he going to?
So look, he's been there. He's been to the border, and since he took office.
When did he go to the border?
Since he took office, the President Biden has been taking action to fix our immigration system and secure our border.
He hasn't been to the border. I mean, we checked it. Everybody checked it. Not only wasn't he at the border as president, he didn't go as vice president. He didn't care about the border. He's happy that as many foreign nationals as possible get into this country so that the voting patterns change. That's what the progressive vision is. Flood the zone. It's true. Everybody knows it's true. But to get up there and say the president's been to the border when he hasn't been to the border is shocking. Now, that should have been headline, Washington Post, New York Times, Karine Jean-Pierre lies to the American people. Because there's no other, it's usually I don't like to use the word lie, but this is a lie. It hasn't been there. It's a lie. They care? No. Could not have happened even 5 years ago. Couldn't have happened. It would have been, the whole press corps would have went, whoa, what are you doing? Not now. That's how far we've deteriorated in this country. Gas prices going down. This is good for Biden. So why are they going down? I love this. This is from the Washington Post. Helping keep prices low at the moment are key U.S. oil refineries that have returned to churning out gasoline after months of being out of commission for maintenance and repairs. That's not what it is. Now, there are a few in that category, but not many. What it is the oil companies now don't have the regulations they did even a year ago. So Biden has quietly pulled a lot of those regulations. And they go from harvesting to making gas and everything else. And they go across the board. So it's easier to market fossil fuels because Biden got crunched in the inflation thing. All right, so the federal government pulled it back. But even more important is at the oil company level, is they go, look at this. Look how much we can charge. So we're going to quadruple our profits. So we're going to sell, we're going to pump and market as much as we can. That's what's happening. If you have gold, for example, as an investment, and that gold spikes 50% in value, you sell. If you're smart, you sell. And that's what's going on here. Now, this is interesting. The largest decreases for gas, Alaska, California, Indiana, Wisconsin, North Dakota, Nevada, Oregon, Illinois, Michigan, and Oklahoma. Okay, so they're the ones that are coming down the quickest. Now, this is a terrible story, and I hate to report it to you, but it's important. So fentanyl is a narcotic that is more powerful than morphine, opium, or heroin. It comes in a little pill, all right? The drug dealers get the pills from Mexico. Mexico gets the ingredients from China. That's the connection. China, Mexico, smuggled into the USA. Because Biden has opened the borders, more fentanyl, as well as everything else, is coming in than ever in the history of this country. Biden doesn't care. Couldn't care less. I don't even know if he understands it. Okay, so fentanyl comes in a little pill, and the greedy drug dealers, because it's very, very addictive, they break the pill open and put some fentanyl in the heroin or cocaine or methamphetamine. So those are powders, all right? So they sprinkle the fentanyl in, hoping the addict, the drug taker, will become addicted quicker. And that's what they do, all right? And it enhances whatever intoxicated state the addict wants. So in LA, which is huge drug territory, LA County saw accidental fentanyl overdose deaths increase 1,280%. Thank you, President Biden. 1,280%. It's unbelievable. Okay? Last year, 1,500 fentanyl ODs in LA County. 2016, 109. Okay. So my contention is twofold. That President Biden is derelict in his duty, doesn't enforce immigration law, has opened the borders of the United States not only to migrants, but to drug traffickers. That's what I believe. I can back it up 50 different ways. If you sell narcotics to another human being, no matter whether you do it mass like the cartels or one-on-one, you're evil. Now that's subjective. Okay? The left says, oh no, the people who sell narcotics, they're addicted themselves, they have a disease. So we shouldn't do anything about it. And in New York City, they don't. You sell heroin, you're out in 2 hours. Okay. And you may remember the guy that was caught with 22,000 fentanyl pills about 3 weeks ago, they let him go. They remember that in New York. So last night I'm on News Nation with liberal Chris Cuomo, who believes the disease thing. Oh, we can't condemn them. Even if you're selling heroin, no, disease. We have to get them treatment. How many times have you heard that? They don't want treatment, many of them. They want to get high. All right, that's their life. So then there was a back and forth on this between me, your humble correspondent, and Cuomo. Roll of tape. But let me ask you a question before we get to all of the flood of calls. So fentanyl dealer on the street sells fentanyl to your kid. Kid dies. Okay? Fentanyl dealer is an addict. All right? Fentanyl dealer is an addict. We supposed to feel sorry for him because he has a disease when your kid's dead?
But I think that when you ignore subtleties, obviously good and evil are bright line distinctions until you start to get into the facts. A dealer who sends fentanyl, right now, they're prosecuting everybody who touches fentanyl as if they intended to kill somebody else. Is that going to make fentanyl go away? I don't know. Next call.
They're not doing that in New York. They're not doing that in New York. Although, as you well know, there was a guy caught with 22,000. Wait a minute. Your audience needs to know this. You just said they're prosecuting everybody with fentanyl. In New York, 2.5 weeks ago, a guy's caught by the NYPD with 22,000 fentanyl pills. Okay? He's out in 2 hours, and he'll never show up for his hearing.
But he's being
a cartel
prosecuted.
member.
He's being prosecuted.
No, prosecuted what? He's out. He's not coming back.
He's out on bail. You don't know whether he's
Are
coming
you
back.
little Bo Peep?
Oh, here we go. You know, you called me that like 25 years ago, by the way. I'm glad I still look the same.
Let me upgrade.
I just like that you're okay.
Little Red Riding Hood.
You're okay just demanding that reality is that Bill O'Reilly says if this guy got out, which is a policy I told you I think is flawed, that he's never coming back, and that's a matter of fact.
But you just said
and the
they're
guy's not being prosecuted. He's still being prosecuted,
I'll
but it's a
bet you
stupid policy to let him out.
$1,000 now. I'll bet you $1,000 now to Big Brothers Big Sisters, okay, that he doesn't show for his hearing. You taking it?
No. But I don't know that it's a matter of fact.
Okay, so that's pretty interesting back and forth. That's why I like going on that show, because the News Nation audience needs to hear another side of reality. And Cuomo's okay. I mean, he's a classic liberal guy. His father was a governor of New York, as you know. His brother was a governor of New York. They're a liberal family. But my take on this, I am 100% convinced, is the right one. Okay, I don't care whether some drug addict has a disease if he's selling poison to other people. That's not an excuse. Get off it. Go to rehab. There's plenty of rehab available. They don't want to get off it, generally speaking. If you are stuck in a timeshare and you haven't called Lone Star Transfer yet, what are you waiting for? Lone Star Transfer has helped more than 16,000 happy customers. They are family-owned, have a 99% success rate. Their process is done legally, ethically, and quickly. I mean, does it get better than that? The team at Lone Star Transfer will keep you informed every step of the way until you are legally and permanently released from your timeshare. So, don't pay another penny for a timeshare you don't use. Get peace of mind today with Lone Star Transfer. They guarantee the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. Give Lone Star Transfer a call for a free no-obligation consultation. 855-551-7066, 855-551-7066, or online at lonestartransfer.com. Okay, the final thought of the day is I want you to relax this weekend, because you didn't relax much over Thanksgiving. It was, kind of arduous, whatever you did. So this weekend is kind of, that's what I'm doing. I'm going out east with the Terror Dog, and the Montauk Lighthouse, by the way, is lit up. Fabulous sight. Going to go out and see it, and I'm not doing much. I have to do work. I always have to do work. I have to read. I always have to read. but I'm going to bring it down. And that is the final thought. I hope you do it too. Thank you for watching and listening to the No Spin News, new column Sunday noon. We'll see you again on Monday. There is a concerted effort to intimidate and silence conservative thinkers, rewrite American history, and replace our God-given individual liberty with big government controls. The very freedoms secured by our Constitution are now being threatened by the most liberal leftists our nation has ever seen. They have failed to secure our borders, weakened our position on the global stage, are trying to indoctrinate and corrupt our children in school, and the list goes on and on. But there are plenty of patriots with the courage to stand up to the far left. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization in the USA. I am a member, and I hope you will join as well. AMAC members have access to money-saving benefits, a robust website and mobile app, and a magazine filled with all kinds of great content. So please join AMAC today at amac.us and tell them O'Reilly sent you. That's amac.us.